I would quite strongly say there isn't a right person for the job. There is a right person for the job in that company, in that culture. That's the same all rungs of the ladder. Just because somebody may be technically competent, they can't gel with the other people in the organisation. For me, these are the things that maybe are not supposed to be talked about because it might not be politically correct to say that, because it might not be gelling for whatever reason. But the bottom line is it's a fact. And as an employer, you want to get the best out of your people, and as an employee, you want to be working in an environment that you like. So, as much as the employee wants to work somewhere that is good for them, the employer needs someone who fits with them and their culture. Hi guys, Matt Haycox here, and welcome to episode number 2 of the HR Zone. This is my new podcast format. Anyone who's joined us has probably only been here for 1 week because we launched this last week with myself and Kelly McGowan. There is no celebrity gossip. There is no interviews with inspiring entrepreneurs. There is just juicy HR content with my juicy head of people, Kelly. So welcome again, Kelly. Last week we just talked about, I guess we set the scene for what's going to happen in future podcasts. So we just talked about HR in general, why people or businesses should see it as an investment, not a cost. And all the fun benefits that business owners, don't really either appreciate, understand, or ignore because it kind of gets lost with the, I guess, when HR gets degraded as the fluffy part of the business. So there'll be no fluff, there'll be no waffle here, just real stuff. And today we're going to talk about recruitment, quite specifically as well, how to recruit without using a recruitment agency. Because even though I know I get some recruitment guys who follow me, they are very, very expensive and not necessarily necessary evil in corporate recruitment. I'm not going to say never. They do have the place, but a lot of the time they are overused and overpaid. And you guys as SME business owners can avoid them and can also get better results for less money. But let's jump right in with it, Kelly. Let's talk about recruitment.
Okay, so it's certainly a booming business is recruitment. I think we look at our businesses, don't we? I think initially when somebody leaves the business, the automatic thing is, right, when's the next person coming in? But I think you just need to press the pause button when somebody leaves and do that good piece of evaluation and look at it from a commercial point of view, really, because, be honest, if your business is down trading or some of your business has moved online, do you need that direct replacement? It's a really, really good opportunity to take a good look and just detach the emotion from the situation. Have you considered if technology could replace that person? Are you operating at the right structure? And sometimes when somebody leaves, you can really use it as an opportunity to reshape your business and almost give it a new direction and make it fit for purpose. Because we all know the saying, don't we? If you do what you always do, you'll get what you always get. And many businesses have, it's like the Woolworths scenario, isn't it? So I think primarily, see the bigger picture before you just jump out there and recruit. So
I'm just going to interrupt there as well. I'm just going to interrupt you because it's not just on recruitment, but it's quite interesting. I actually only came about this phrase, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it's something that I've been really thinking on in all aspects of business and life. It's called addition bias. Now, you're probably more educated than me, and you may already know it, but addition bias, I guess, does what it says on the tin. It's where we are naturally programmed to try and solve a problem by adding something rather than solve a problem by subtracting something. And you just made me think of it when you were talking about that, because we think somebody's left. Oh shit! I need to fill that gap. I need to replace them. But obviously this depends what stage somebody's business is in. But how necessary are the tasks that person was carrying out? Rather than adding the person, can we remove something from the process? And I think that's just a really interesting thing to think about in every department and every area of business. Hence why I thought it was a valid interruption. Back over to you.
Yeah, I think I think people have to understand why people leave. Don't ever forget to keep asking questions. Why did that person feel they wanted to leave our business? Now, listen, there's some good exits, there's natural attrition. You can employ young people and they naturally finish their university degree and go and do something more vocational. However, isn't it great if we attract them and we keep them in our business? So, there's a great benefit from keeping people within the business and making sure we've got the ultimate work environment, because when there's no disruption of levers, understand the benefits. People work a lot slicker, faster, you get more productivity, they're a lot more knowledgeable and they can move your business at speed. There's a down part that things never change and you don't bring any fresh blood in. So it's the balance that you're looking for. So I suppose you've made a decision to recruit. There's such a lot of thought process. Is it right to replace that person on the same wage, the same structure, the same benefits? What's really, really useful is that you look at the business and think, what does it need? Okay, I do need that person, but is there anything different I'm going to bring to that job role? Can I give them that extra stretch? So work up that job description, whatever you want to call it, job spec. Know what it is. Don't just replace the person. Look at your whole business and think, what can I get them to do? What more? What extra? Align the pay structure. Things are changing, cost of living is changing. In April, we'll see a new national minimum wage, a new living wage. So things constantly change. And if you're recruiting for a particular area, so at the moment, that there's quite a skill shortage in the IT sector. Well, pretty much in the whole of the UK. But, do you need to do something different automatically before you start? Recruiting, make that job more attractive than the next business, because all of the time that we haven't got that person in our business, we are running a little bit slower. So the best thing to do is, if you've invested in your people, you have that natural talent pipeline. And how great does it feel to promote from within? In our group, last week we recently promoted from within. We had a young guy who has been with us several years, completed his degree. And why wouldn't we promote the guy who's got the accountancy degree into the finance? It's absolutely brilliant. But already he can move at pace because he's got so much work and knowledge of the business. So that's an absolute must to build that talent pipeline. It also gives you your plan B. Now, we hear about this, if you're going to execute plan A, you need your plan B and actually have a plan C just in case. So, I really love that, ethos. It helps provide a lot more of an organised work environment. So let's get on to the agency. A lot of people's first go-to is, let's dial the agency up. We sometimes have to do it ourselves. And there's a time and there's a place for it, but there's no poor agencies. They are making good money. If you're appointing a senior role for, I don't know, let's say £80,000, you may have variable commission rates between 15% if you're getting a really good deal, or 30%. Now, if you're recruiting that 80k person, what's that, 12 grand commission on a good rate? But if you've signed a contract for 30%, 24 grand is a hell of a lot. That's a lot of money to pay out.
Let me ask you a couple of questions just before we get onto the recruitment guys, because I guess whether you're going to do it yourself or whether you're going to use a recruiter, that you're going to need a job spec. You're going to need a detailed job description.
Yeah.
And it might, it might sound easy to some people, and I guess to anyone in HR, it's probably easy to bash out a job spec. But I know myself, having employed all kinds of people, and knowing exactly what to do myself, putting pen to paper is quite difficult. And even though I know exactly what I want that person to do for me, I do tend to find myself stealing a job spec from somebody else's recruitment ad. How
Yeah.
how should someone put together one? Are there any hints and tips?
Well, do you know, first of all, our people have the answers, don't they? So, if you're a line manager, you would go to the people that are working for you, or actually talk to the person who's leaving and ask them, what does your everyday job look like? And before you know it, a great job spec isn't 2 or 3 pages long, because ultimately you're going to lose people's interest, aren't you? But let's get the bullet points down there. And, if you need to, go and spend 5-10 minutes of time with people in that department, and you'll soon, once you immerse yourself in that environment, you will soon pick up actually they need to do this. And that's a bit of a thought process to think they really need to have those skills. I need to be watching that when I interview people. And the more you know your business, the more you can influence it and understand it and get the right fixes for it. So, yeah, go and talk to the people, talk to the line managers, see what it is they actually want, because they have to be really involved and have that ownership in it. And before you know it, write your points down, and it almost writes itself.
Okay, well let's jump back onto those pesky recruiters.
Mhm. Okay, listen, they work hard, they do a good job, and their time is totally devoted to things that are specific to them. It's all aligned towards getting their commission, let's face it. So let's look at something alternative.
I was going to say, I
I
have to
think there's
say
a
as well,
lot.
because I don't want to do all recruiters a disservice, because that would be
No.
unfair, and I am nothing if not balanced. And but yeah, I think for me the reason so many recruitment people get a bad name is because they don't actually they don't put the care in, they don't do the work, they just bash out CVs willy nilly with no I guess with no thought process behind it. Now I've made hires recently using recruitment companies. Yourself is a case in point, and the guys I use, I would speak very highly of, because I think
Yeah.
they do a genuine job of going out to specifically find a person capable of doing the role, b somebody who fits with me, because I guess if the recruitment company does their job properly, they'll get to know you as an employer as well, and then they really do go to market, find the right candidate, do the interview, or do some first stage interviews themselves, and then provide me with one or two or three candidates to interview, which at that level they are ones. Now whether or not they're right is another question, but they are people who've been genuinely targeted, and are thought to be fit for purpose for me, and will ultimately save me oodles and oodles of time of sifting through crap interviews with inappropriate people. I mean, you're with yourself and with a couple of other senior hires that I've made lately. The recruitment guy actually specifically says to me, look, I'm convinced this will be the person you hire. That for me is worth the money. When someone, I don't know, when you're hiring let's say a lower level, I don't mean lower level, let's say a more mundane role, and they're just bashing out CVs, going, yeah, this person's good, this person's good. They've never met them, they've never spoken to them, and they're charging
Yeah,
charging 3, 4, 5 plus thousand quid. That is
for
what I mean.
sure.
by
Yeah.
by an unfair cost, and that's what gives recruiters a bad name. So I guess,
And I think you make a really, really good point there. It's about that relationship you build with your recruiter, invite them into the business, invite them into your world so they get a feel for what the team is, the people is, what your ethos, what the business value is about. But sadly, that's not always the case. If we sort of park the recruiters aside, actually look at the people in our business. We employ hundreds of people across our group. And to me, this is a real opportunity because actually we already have a powerful team of recruiters. And, we're almost like an army. So if we are working on the basis of how do we get and mobilize our army to go out and recruit these, there's loads of opportunities, and it's something I'm really keen to run with. So engaging the workforce, well, they need to know actually these are the vacancies that we have. This is the benefits package that we're offering. What are the perks? Is this a work from home position? Don't fall off
don't
your
use
chair.
those words.
Is it Don't use those words. Or is it a hybrid role? Or actually, is it a bit of a mix? And we may not be able to disclose the salary, but, we can talk about all of the good stuff that we have. So how do we mobilize the troops? Well, we've got so many options available. So it could be things like what we have started doing. So it's an it's an employee referral scheme. So it's a great opportunity for our employees to be able to earn a little bit more cash. And it's a real incentive, especially as people's bills and costs have gone up. So, it could be they've got children who've come out of a graduate scheme or family who have just been made redundant. What we're saying is actually put them in touch with us. We'll absolutely give them an interview to see if there is anything in our business where we see a fit. And do you know what? If we don't have anything at the moment, let's just keep these people warm. Build them up, and there may be an opportunity in the future and build up some great networks. Obviously, our employees can hit the socials, LinkedIn, there's Indeed, that's another one, Insta, Facebook, certain Facebook groups who we can target. A lot of our premises, we can actually do it the old-fashioned way. Let's get some signs up, or let's get some signs on some of our delivery vans, or all sorts of things. I think we've just got to encourage the employees to come up with these good ideas because we don't know everything. But surely, 200-300 people actively joining the whole recruitment campaign, it gives it good legs, doesn't it?
And yeah, I mean, and two or three things that I'd pick up on there and flesh out for me. One is obviously if your employees are recruiting from their own network, they should know that person will be a right fit for the organisation, because again, we were talking about fit earlier on. I think that is something super important, because I would quite strongly say there isn't a right person for the job. There is a right person for the job in that company, in that culture. And that's the same all rungs of the ladder. I think just because somebody may be technically competent, if they can't gel with the other people in the organisation, and that's I think that, for me, these are the things that maybe are not supposed to be talked about, because it might not be politically correct to say that, because it might not be gelling for whatever reason. But the bottom line is it's a fact, and as an employer, you want to get the best out of your people, and as an employee, you want to be working in an environment that you like. So as much as the employee wants to work somewhere that is good for them, the employer needs someone who fits with them and their culture. That's point number one. Point number two, obviously you talk about employees recruiting, and our bonus scheme we've done for that, because again, that's something that's quite high on my list of things to get implemented. Of course, our business is for 2023, because a pet hate of mine is people coming along asking for pay rises with no let's say background as to why they should be getting it, or asking for a bonus because it's Christmas. I am not
Oh,
Father.
I remember that.
I
Okay.
am not Father Christmas, and we do not dish out willy-nilly corporate bonuses at Christmas. And I'll always say to anyone, again, whatever position or whatever rung of the ladder is, in simple terms, you get paid what you deserve for doing that job. And if you do a great job, then great. That's what you've been employed for. Okay, there may be some periphery bonuses, some bits and pieces, but ultimately, whatever your role is, there is a ceiling on what you're going to earn in that. But that said, I do want people to earn as much as possible. But for me, the quid pro quo is: you bring me value, I'll bring you money. So therefore, we're trying to come up with things in our organisation which will A, benefit us, but B, then give employees the chance to earn some money. So we have implemented this over the last week or so, this £500 bonus for people who can bring someone to us who ultimately we hire. And for me, I mean, I don't know if it's a right number, but it feels like a good number for me. 500 quid, a couple of those a year can add up nicely to someone's salary, and for us as an organisation, saves us decent money with the recruiter. And again, then it's down to the people how aggressive they want to be at actually carrying out that task of finding. If they just want to ask their brother or sister if they want a job with us, then they're not going to earn much money. If they want to proactively go out there and knock on doors, then they've got the chance to earn well. And then in terms of knocking on doors, that then leads me onto LinkedIn, which you mentioned earlier. And I cannot advocate enough for LinkedIn at the moment. I mean, I've always been on LinkedIn and I've always found some decent value from it, but I've used it heavily for the last couple of weeks in terms of outreach to people that we're looking to employ ourselves. And I've sat down for 2, 3, 4 hours probably collectively over the week and the last couple of days, searching people who have got titles in their job that suit us, or worked for employers that we would probably consider a relevant piece of competition, and outreached to all of those people, just very basically saying, hey, we're recruiting a new role that you on paper look like you may have some kind of loose fit for. Would you be interested in a no obligation chat, 10 or 15 minutes, and see if we have a fit? Now, I've done that for, like I said, multiple hundreds of people for 2 or 3 different roles over the last few days. But that doesn't need to come from me as a boss. I mean, that can come from absolutely anybody. Just change the wording of the message and go and do the outreach themselves. And I mean, I've already taken, one of these was a copywriting position. I've already given 2 people this week off the back of those mail outs. Test pieces of work to do. I'm expecting with the calls I've got booked in for the rest of the week that I'll probably have 5 people at it by the end of the week. Now, if I can do 4 or 5 or 6 of those in a week from 4 or 5 hours work at a weekend, it shows the concept works. So, if people therefore don't want to jump on board with it, that's fine. Don't jump on board with it, but stop moaning that you're not earning enough money.
Yeah, and I think that whole aspect of hitting LinkedIn and approaching people has worked particularly well for us when we've staffed our Dubai office. Because we haven't used agencies, and even though I'm thousands of miles away, I think to approach people, to send them the messages, you may have to send 50 out, but you're only really looking for 1 back, aren't you? So I think that's worked well for us. I think we probably need to do that a bit more in the UK, especially in the areas where there's such a skills shortage, like the IT area, because as a business, as a group, we are growing. Well, we're growing very fast, and that's why we need more people. If anybody's watching this, do go on our company website and have a look at our current vacancies, or get in touch if you're looking to further your career or know somebody who does.
And that
shameless plug.
No, but it's a good plug and a valid point because as you know, I get people approach me direct saying, can I come and work for you? Now, whether or not the right people, who knows? I mean, you'll never know that until interview, but you'll never know that with anybody. But I like it for a few reasons. A, because if someone's approached me off social media to ask for a job, A, it's cost us nothing as recruiters, and B, they've got a very good grounding already of what our operations are like and what my personality and what my ethos and stuff are like. So whilst that is not an answer, so not a point particularly on recruitment, I think it's an important point for business owners when you say that you don't need to be on social media and that you say that personal brand is not important, etc. There's so many very tangible commercial benefits due to having a personal brand, to having a public presence that completely transcends fun games and ego.
Well, I think you make a really good point there. I think every business I know has made the transition to be, to fit in with their own ambitions to be technology led. And, that is how recruitment has gone. We probably don't use the same system as a huge company like, I don't know, British Airways or something. But even smaller companies, they are making the small steps. Say if it's only a company with 20, 30, 40 people, they are making the small steps to even dip their toe into the whole technology piece, which is, just email me your CV. Now, years ago, you would have just walked in with a CV, but things have changed. But by doing that, it does allow us to speed up the process, both for the applicant and for our business as well. But and I think you made another good point as well. It touched upon actually the people who are asking about the job get the feel for your business, get the feel for the company ethos. And I think that's really, really crucial when we get to the interview stage. And, don't rule people out before you've had the opportunity to talk to them. A lot of people create CVs which are works of art. Okay. And, when that gets them the interview, I get that. But if there's even a little bit of an interest on, for instance, somebody's CV, get them in for an interview, because people, continually surprise you in this world, don't they? I think, when you do interview and when you do move through that process, there's so much opportunity to make an interview a great interview. And by doing a great interview, it's another opportunity to know that you're getting the right fit for your business, that you're putting the round peg in the round hole. Too many businesses are just taking that best available person. We've got tons of people across various businesses, hopefully not in ours, where there's square pegs and round holes. But it's a tricky situation. You can move too fast and do a mishire, or you can move too slow and you could lose somebody. So, don't be too impetuous, because you could end up with a bad hire. When you're interviewing that person, you've got to involve the line manager. I always introduce them to the environment, but do a work trial. Can they come for an afternoon? All of these things are really good possibilities. Are they a right fit for the team? We can't necessarily do a Myers-Briggs or psychometric testing on everybody. Sometimes the feeling that you get is more powerful than any psycho test would give you. And you can quickly see if they can be, part of the team. And you've got to recognise your own team as well. Teams are very, very diverse. Are they going to fit in? And it's not necessarily an age thing, a demographic thing. It's just personalities and skill sets. The more diverse team you've got, the greater your outreach. So I think that's really, really, important. And when you're doing those interviews, it's equally important. And you alluded to it over job specification. And we said, actually, get those points down. Now, to make sure you're fair and equitable in an interview process, ask everybody the same questions, but don't be afraid to step out of the box and come up with really bespoke questions that are really pertinent for your particular part of the business. These are definite things and definite skills and qualities that you just can't compromise when you bring somebody in. They've got to be a really good hire. So you're involving the team, you're letting them get a feel for the place, have a look around. I interviewed a couple of weeks ago, and I took everybody around, let them meet the team, because actually it's a two-way process, isn't it? They've got to like them, and we've got to like, and they've got to like us. So it's got to be a two-way, definitely. And I think it's a really, really good opportunity as you involve your line manager. That's extra coaching you're given to them, so that eventually you've given him or her them skills, so that they feel confident, they feel more skilled in the recruitment area. And do you know what? They may want to try it solo. So you've built capacity by coaching lots of line managers across the group. So by increasing that skill, you're able to move a bit speedier and to get to where you need to be, which is ultimately the end result of having this great, amazing person in the business.
Well, look, talking about Speedy and the end result, I'm conscious that you and I both had a hard stop to finish recording on this, and I'm sure you've got to run off and hire someone or fire someone.
Surely not.
Listen, it's been a great deep dive onto recruitment, and I don't know what you've got planned for next week's episode, but I think it would be only chronologically topical to then move on to how to interview people. So I think we'll do that next week, and if you hadn't got that planned, we'll drop whatever into the week after. But guys, I hope you've found that interesting. This has obviously been part 2 of our HR podcast, HR deep dive into following us on our business journey of improving the culture of the Matt Haycox Group, and helping you guys, I guess, benefit by sharing that and teaching you all things HR from our previously described juicy head of people, Kelly McGowan. So thanks a lot for listening. Thanks for watching. As always, I've been the Matt Haycox. That's TheMattHaycox on all things social. If you've liked this and you want some more general business advice, we now also have Matt Haycox Daily, and obviously we've got our long-term, longer format, the Matt Haycox Show, where once a week we have an interview with a great guest, an entrepreneur, a celebrity, an inspiring character. So check me out on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you consume your content, and I look forward to speaking to you next week with Kelly in a future episode of the HR Zone.
Thank you. Bye.